All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be breaking down a match that on the surface might not seem that interesting.
Yeah.
Espanyol 3, Celta Vigo 1.
Yeah. The scoreline doesn't really tell the full story, though, does it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
We're going to be going beyond the score to really understand, why Espanyol were able to pull off this victory.
Exactly.
And we're going to do it like a team of analysts. We have this detailed match report.
Yeah.
We're going to be using that as our guide, and hopefully you'll walk away with a much deeper understanding
Absolutely.
of, how these teams match up against each other.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
So the report mentions that Espanyol came out in a very classic 4-4-2 formation, which is known for, its solid defensive structure.
Very, very solid.
And Celta Vigo opted for a 3-4-2-1, which is often used by teams that want to dominate possession.
Yeah.
And have a lot of attacking options.
Yeah. 3-4-2-1 is interesting because it can be really effective going forward,
Right.
but it can leave you a bit vulnerable at the back.
Especially on the flanks.
Yeah, the flanks, those wide areas can be a real weakness if the opponent knows how to exploit them.
And it sounds like Espanyol definitely did their homework.
They did.
They really targeted those wide areas.
They used the wings really effectively.
Hmm.
And that's where they were able to disrupt Celta Vigo's rhythm.
It's almost like Espanyol kind of set a trap, knowing that Celta Vigo would be looking to use those wide areas.
Right, and that's the beauty of tactics.
Yeah.
It's like a chess match.
If
You're trying to anticipate your opponent's moves and then counter them.
And Espanyol's coach really seemed to understand that, the report highlights his pragmatic approach.
Yeah, he knew his team's strength was in their defense.
Right.
And their ability to counterattack quickly. So he set them up to do just that.
And speaking of counterattacks, we have to talk about some of Espanyol's standout performers.
Absolutely.
Lorenzo Cabrera in the midfield. I mean, wow, he was everywhere.
He was immense.
Scored a goal. He disrupted Celta Vigo's attacks. He seemed to be everywhere on the pitch.
He was the engine of that Espanyol team.
Yeah.
His goal was fantastic, but it was more than that.
Right.
It was his work rate, his ability to read the game. He just completely shut down Celta Vigo in that midfield area.
And we can't forget Ivan Cardona, who scored that beautiful opening goal.
Oh, a fantastic finish.
The report talks about, his movement off the ball, and how that created so much space for himself and for his teammates.
His understanding with Jose Lu was just brilliant.
Yeah.
They were constantly switching positions, making runs, causing all sorts of problems for that Celta Vigo backline.
And then, of course, there's Wally Chadira, the super sub, who came off the bench to seal the victory with that late goal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about a dagger to the heart for Celta Vigo.
It was the perfect example of how dangerous Espanyol can be on the counterattack.
Even late in the game.
Even when the other team is pushing forward, desperate for a goal, Espanyol were ready to pounce.
And it really highlights the importance of having players who can come off the bench and make an impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need those game changers, those players who can change the momentum of a match in an instant.
So it sounds like Espanyol's coach had a very clear game plan for this match, and his players executed it to perfection.
Yeah, it was a tactical masterclass.
And I think, you mentioned this earlier about the chess match analogy.
Right.
It's like Espanyol really outmaneuvered Celta Vigo.
Yeah, they understood their opponent's weaknesses and they were able to exploit them.
And that brings us to Celta Vigo, right?
Yeah.
They seem to struggle a bit in this match.
They just,
Despite having a star player like Iago Aspas in their ranks,
yeah.
he managed to score a penalty.
Right.
But for the most part, he was pretty quiet.
Well, even the best players in the world need support.
Right.
And Celta Vigo just weren't able to provide him with the service he needed.
And, the report also mentions Harris Struvas, showing some promise for Celta Vigo, but not quite able to make that decisive impact.
Yeah, he's got potential.
Yeah.
But he's still young.
Still developing.
Needs more experience.
And Celta Vigo's coach, he tried to make some substitutions to change things up.
Yeah, he did.
But Espanyol's defense just held firm.
That Espanyol defense was very well organized, very disciplined.
So in the end, Espanyol went into this match with a clear strategy.
They did.
They exploited Celta Vigo's weaknesses.
Absolutely.
And they capitalized on their chances.
They were clinical.
And I think it's safe to say that they were deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, I think so.
But it wasn't just a one-sided affair.
No, it wasn't.
There were some key moments, some pivotal moments that could have swung the match in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So let's take a closer look at those turning points and how they shaped the outcome of this match.
Let's do it. Well, I think you have to start with Cardona's opening goal. It really set the tone early on.
Yeah.
Forced Celta Vigo to come out of their shell a bit, and that played right into Espanyol's hands.
Yeah, it's like they lulled them into a false sense of security, and then bam, hit them with that quick counterattack.
Exactly. And then you have Cabrera's header,
Yeah.
to make it 2-deal. I mean, that was a
Right.
fantastic goal, but
Yeah.
more importantly, it just completely shifted the momentum.
Right.
Celta Vigo started to get frustrated. Their passing got sloppy.
You could just feel the tension building.
Yeah, they were just starting to panic a little bit.
And then Shadira's goal, the one that sealed the deal. I mean, that must have been a real gut punch for Celta Vigo.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a clinical finish.
Yeah.
It just showed how ruthless Espanyol can be on the counter.
Mm.
They didn't just sit back and protect their lead.
Right.
They kept pushing. They kept looking for opportunities to punish Celta Vigo.
And it really makes you think about the mental side of the game, too. How do you keep your composure when you're down a goal or 2 goals and the clock is ticking away?
That's the difference between a good team and a great team. It's about staying focused, staying disciplined, believing in your game plan, even when things aren't going your way.
And Espanyol showed that mental toughness in this match. So what does this all mean for both teams going forward?
Wow.
The report suggests that Espanyol's defensive solidity could be their key to survival in La Liga.
Yeah, I think their defense is definitely their strength.
Yeah.
If they can continue to be difficult to break down, they're going to have a good chance of staying up.
And for Celta Vigo, it seems like they have some things to work on, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, they need to tighten up at the back, for sure.
Yeah.
They conceded 3 goals to a team that isn't exactly known for its attacking prowess.
Right.
So that's a bit of a worry.
And they also need to find ways to get Aspas more involved in the game, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he's their biggest threat.
Yeah.
And they need to find ways to get him the ball in dangerous areas.
So it's like solving a puzzle, isn't it?
It is.
Each team has its strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And it's up to the coach to figure out how to maximize the former and minimize the latter.
Exactly. And that's what makes football so compelling. It's a game of strategy tactics.
Yeah.
Constant adjustments.
And that's why we love diving deep into these match reports.
That's fascinating.
It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing the game through the eyes of the coaches and the players.
Absolutely.
It's not just about the score. It's about understanding the why behind the what.
Exactly. And every match has a story to tell.
It does.
A story of strategy, skill, determination, and sometimes even a little bit of luck.
And sometimes those stories end in triumph, and sometimes they end in heartbreak.
But they always offer valuable lessons, for players, for coaches, and even for fans like us.
So to you, our listener, the next time you watch a match, don't just focus on the score, look deeper. Ask yourself, what tactics are the teams employing, who are the key players, and what decisions are shaping the outcome?
Because within those details lies the true beauty of the game.
And that brings us to another interesting point. This match wasn't just about who won on the day. It revealed long-term strategies for both teams.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they adapt and evolve based on what happened in this match.
Will Espanyol be able to maintain that defensive solidity against different styles of play?
And will Celta Vigo be able to address those defensive frailties while still maximizing their attacking potential?
These are the questions that will be answered in the weeks and months to come. Yeah, it really shows that, football is full of these hidden stories just waiting to be uncovered.
And it's fascinating when you start to peel back those layers and see all the different factors that influence the outcome of a match.
Absolutely. And I think, sometimes people just look at the score and think, oh, well, that team was better.
Right.
But when you really break it down and you see the tactics, the individual performances, the decisions made by the coaches, it's just so much more interesting.
Absolutely. You realize that there's so much depth and complexity to something that might seem very simple on the surface.
It's amazing what you can learn when you take that deep dive beyond just the highlights, beyond just the score.
Exactly.
When you really dissect the game, you see it in a whole new light.
And that's what we hope to do here on the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Give you the tools to see the game with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And to appreciate it on a whole new level.
So the next time you're watching a match, think back to this deep dive. Think about the formations, the tactics, the key players, the decisions that coaches make.
All of those things matter.
Because as we've seen today, those decisions can have a huge impact on the outcome of a match.
Absolutely.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep, because the more you learn, the more you realize there's always more to discover.
Always something new to learn about the beautiful game.
That's it for our deep dive into Espanyol's victory over Celta Vigo. We hope you enjoyed the journey and learned a thing or two along the way.
Until next time, keep the passion for the beautiful game alive.
And never stop exploring. See you on the next deep dive.